This is WRFI Community Radio News. My name is Chris Knight. I'm here with two local filmmakers who have crowdsourced a film, and they are traveling the world to make this film about the global culture of fireworks. I'm here with Jesse and Jeremy Veverka, and I'm also here with one of the main characters in the film, Tom Dimock. He's a local pyrotechnician.
Okay, thank you, Chris. This is Jesse Veverka here. Passfire is the film about the culture of fireworks and the people who make them around the world. We have a focus on the world's most amazing fireworks, and because of that, we've been traveling all around the world, including Asia, the United States, Mexico, Canada, and Europe next year, documenting fireworks and fireworks culture. And I'm working with my brother Jeremy, who's been doing a lot of our cinematography.
Hi, yeah, this is Jeremy Veverka here, and as my brother mentioned, we've been working together on this film called Passfire, and really it's been a journey to seek out the most amazing stories about fireworks around the world, and also some of the sort of cultural traditions behind that. You know, why do we do this? Why is it so important in a lot of our holidays, and not just our holidays, like, you know, 4th of July, but other people's holidays, such as in India for the Hindu people there. It's an important part of their celebrations, and really all around the world, you'll find that people celebrate the things that are important to them. They celebrate with fireworks, and that's a big part of what they do, and that's kind of one of the things we're really looking at in this film.
Terry, what do you think about the smell of black powder? Do you like it?
Oh, I love the smell.
Yeah, why?
It reminds me of my boyhood in fireworks. It's something that I think is basic in a lot of us, is the smell that we remember and we can't forget. A lot of people say once you've smelled the smoke, you're always hooked. Talk to anybody that's into fireworks and ask them, what you like about the smell of black powder? And it's like, oh, wow, that's the essence. It's joy.
I would say from a filmmaking perspective, one of the most difficult things is actually filming fireworks, because fireworks are meant to be experienced firsthand. And whenever you put them on video, you really limit yourself. And so it's been a real challenge. How do we make fireworks appear as interesting as they actually are? And we've been finding that might actually be the way you do that is not to focus on videos of fireworks themselves, but the story behind the fireworks. And I'll let my brother expand on that.
What I've really found amazing is the level of passion and dedication of local pyrotechnicians who are doing things that are amazing. I mean, it's stuff that is world renowned, you know, just really pushing the envelope of what people are doing with fireworks, and they're doing it here in our backyard, producing things like girandolas, which is sort of a helicopter device that spins around and goes up in the air, producing different kinds of shells, things that are sort of based on long traditions, but people here are perfecting them in a way that just hasn't been seen before. And that's been some of the most amazing stuff I've actually had the pleasure of enjoying. And Tom Dimock is one of the guys that has really been working a lot on shells, but also girandolas is one of the things he's really well known for, and he's done some amazing work with that. So working with Tom has been great. We've really seen a lot of cool stuff.
And so, Tom, can you explain to our audience really quickly just how you became involved in working on the film with the Veverka brothers, and what's been your role in the film, up to this moment?
Well, I got involved in fireworks. I grew up here in Ithaca, and so I used to go to all the fireworks shows for the 4th of July over at Cornell, and loved fireworks. Never realized that I could be involved. And then in the mid-'80s, the Pyrotechnic Guild International, which is the largest organization in the world of amateur pyrotechnicians, had their convention up here in Trumansburg. And I realized that, wow, there's this organization out there. They'll help me get started. I joined that guild and subsequently started shooting shows commercially. I've shot a lot of local shows commercially for a company called Young Explosives. And then I got my license, started building my own stuff, and got into these girandolas that Jeremy mentioned, which are sort of a pyrotechnic flying saucer. And they're very unusual in this country. You don't see them very often. And so after I'd built a few and had a good success with them, I wrote a book about it, which really got a lot of other people in this country started doing girandolas. So my involvement with the movie, they've been, Jesse and Jeremy have been coming over and they've been following my progress as I've developed a new girandola for the competitions at the Pyrotechnic Guild. We have competitions in a number of different categories. That's one of them. I'm actually the technical coordinator for the competition, so I have a lot of involvement with that.
And so, Tom, maybe you've been exploring this field of fireworks for some time, and maybe you can speak a little bit about the way that the perception of fireworks differs across cultures. Here we live in a state of New York where fireworks for consumers is actually technically illegal. Even a little bottle rocket or a firecracker might be illegal. And then in other places in the world, fireworks are something that's celebrated and enjoyed by many people. Maybe sometimes safely, maybe sometimes unsafely. But I just maybe like to learn a little bit about how that kind of differs depending on where you are in the world.
Well, one that I can certainly speak to is Mexico. A couple of us went down to Mexico several years back to a festival down there in Tultepec, Mexico, which is a town which is basically built around fireworks. There are something like 300 small fireworks factories there. And they have a festival in March every year. And one of the things that they do is they have they build these paper mache bulls that are anywhere from little tiny models up through 3 times life size. And they're festooned with fireworks. And so they parade them through the town in the afternoon, and then in the evening they bring them into the square and start setting off the fireworks on them. But there's no crowd control at all. People are right up next to them. And one of the things that's very common on them is they have these strings of what are basically fairly powerful small rocket motors, but with no guidance at all. So they just go zipping around in every direction, smacking into people, burning people. If you got burned by one and complained about it, they'd say, well, what were you doing there then? It's a very, very different attitude. And one of the other days, they were having an event in the square where they shoot off these, it was on a Sunday morning right outside the church where Mass was going on. They're shooting off these rockets that have these just ear-splitting salute headings on them. And then there were guys coming out with these big packages of very powerful firecrackers and throwing the whole package up in the air, and it would burst in the air to just cacophony. And all this paper would fall down on the ground, and there'd be little kids wandering around searching for duds. And we saw this wonderful little kid. He must have been maybe 4 or 5 years old. He's walking around with one hand, he's got a whole fistful of these very powerful firecrackers, and the other hand, he's got a lit cigarette. And he's just looking for people who aren't paying attention, and then he'd walk up behind him and sort of sidle up behind him and light one of his firecrackers, drop it down by their foot, and then just stand back with this beaming expression on his face watching them jump. And to imagine that happening in the United States is just absolutely inconceivable. There, it's just part of their culture.
We're speaking with Tom Dimock, a local pyrotechnician, and Jesse and Jeremy Veverka, 2 local filmmakers who are working on a film called Passfire about the global culture of fireworks. So, Tom, I hear you're gearing up to get ready to participate in the Pyrotechnics Guild International competition. And maybe you can tell us a little bit about that competition and what your role with that competition will be, and what the significance of this Pyrotechnics competition is.
Well, this is the Pyrotechnic Guild International's annual convention, and the competition is only one part of the convention. We also have a lot of seminars, we do shows in the evening, a lot of stuff. but the competitions are held in a wide variety of device types, aerial shells, rockets, girandolas, fountains, all sorts of different things. It's almost entirely just about bragging rights. You know, you win the competition, you get a $7 cheap plastic trophy. But mainly we do it for fun, and it's been a lot of fun over the years. I've been deeply involved with it. About 10 years ago, we decided that the totally manual systems we were using to manage the conventions or competitions were just not working, and so I took on the project of creating a computerized scoring system for the competition registration and scoring system. And so that's been my serious involvement with the competitions for the last about 12 years now, and we're just introducing a whole new firing system this year, so it's going to be interesting this year.
The subject of fireworks production, and then the way that fireworks are used for entertainment, can lead to some exciting and maybe some possibly dangerous stories. And you could blow off your hand if you're not careful. I guess I'm kind of wondering, throughout the course of making this film, or in Tom's work as a pyrotechnician, what sort of exciting or interesting stories you've come across while throughout the course of your work.
One near miss that we saw, kind of a close accident, was that luckily no one was injured in, was that, they had laid out all this black powder on the ground, and it's, India during half the year is extremely hot. It's over 100 degrees, so really hot weather. You're laying this black powder out on the ground, and they had, earlier in that day, they had done some other fireworks that had a chemical in it called chlorate. And when you mix chlorate with sulfur, which is commonly found in black powder, another common chemical in fireworks, you can get a spontaneous fire. Spontaneous reaction happens. So they had done this, and I guess not really thought much about it, and they laid the black powder out on top of where they had earlier fired some fireworks with chlorate, and we're just sitting around, and all of a sudden the whole thing, they're still setting everything up, everyone's around the site, and all of a sudden everything starts going off and everyone's running. It was absolutely insane, and I was just really glad that no one was injured, but it was quite a sight to just be watching this, and all of a sudden everyone has to run and they're pouring water on everything. It was quite a show, but I have to say I was glad that no one got injured.
There have been accidents. There will continue to be accidents. That will always happen when you're dealing with explosives. But it's really surprising to people to find that over the past 15 or 20 years that the amount of fireworks shot in this country has increased by 2 to 3 times, while the actual accident rate has gone down. And one of the things that I strongly disagree with is New York State's complete ban on fireworks, because what it means is that people who have fireworks don't know what they're doing, because we don't have the opportunity to train them to use them safely. And so New York has some of the most restrictive fireworks laws in the country, and yet they also have one of the highest accident rates.
I'm speaking with Tom Dimock, a local pyrotechnician, along with Jesse and Jeremy Veverka, who have started a new film called Passfire about the global culture of fireworks. And so, Jesse, can you tell our listeners how can they find out more information about Passfire if they might be interested?
Sure. They can either go to the website, which is www.passfiremovie.com, or check us out on Facebook, which is just Facebook/Passfire.